Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rabbi.
We are learning Mishnayos Chagiga, Perek Aleph, Chapter 1, Mishnah Zayin, Mishnah 7. Now, yesterday's Mishnah quoted a pasuk that reads, Mu'uvas la yichal liskain, which was translated yesterday as, a crooked thing cannot be straightened, v'chesron la yuchal limanos, and that which is missing cannot be counted. I was referring to the situation of a person who missed bringing his karbanis over Yontif. Over Yontif, he was supposed to bring an ola, a burnt offering, a shlamim offering, and he missed it. He missed the time for doing it. And the Mishnah says, once you miss the time, you can't make it up. And such a thing falls under what the pasuk says, and it quoted this pasuk. And that idea about once you miss that time for the mitzvah, you can't make it up, is really what the second half of the verse says when it says, and something missing cannot be counted. You missed out on doing the mitzvah, there's no way to count it again. Now the Mishnah is going to focus on the first half of the pasuk of Mu'uvas Yuchal Liskain, which again, yesterday we translated it as a crooked thing cannot be straightened. Our Mishnah is not going to explain it exactly that way. Our Mishnah is going to explain that the first half of the pasuk that says Mu'uvas Liskain, Mu'uvas means crooked, but it means a crooked person. One who is crooked, that cannot be fixed. A crooked one who cannot be straightened. That's how our Mishnah is going to learn the first half of the pasuk. Mu'uvas, a crooked one, Liyuchal Liskain, that cannot be straightened out. So what is that referring to? So the Mishnah reads, Rabbi Shimon ben Yomer. Rabbi Shimon the son of Manasseh said, what is an example of a crooked one that cannot be straightened out? Zahaba al ha'erva, somebody who cohabited with a erva, that means a woman who is forbidden to him, who the punishment for being with her is either karas, which means spiritual excision, or capital punishment. That kind of a union that produces a child, that child is a mamzer. So zehaba al ha'erva, this referring to a person who cohabited with an erva, mamzer, and he had a mamzer from her. We're saying that the person who basically fathered a mamzer is a person who is mu'uves. He is a crooked one that cannot be fixed, cannot be straightened out. Now, not being straightened out means he can never do full tshuva. You know, we always teach how tshuva, repentance, is something that can eradicate a sin. But this is an example of a person who has committed a sin, and there is no way to completely eradicate the sin. Meaning he can never get full repentance. And the reason for that is that why is this an example of that, the person who produced the mamzer? So the explanation is, since the existence of the mamzer serves as a constant reminder of the transgression he committed, the sinner cannot be completely cleansed of his sin through repentance. At the end of the day, there was always something remaining, something tangible remaining from his sin. And as long as that remains, the reminder of his sin is there, he cannot get full repentance for what he did. And that is how Rabbi Shimon ben Yomer says the example of the crooked one that can't be fixed. That means he can never do full tshuva, can never be completely cleansed from his sin. Now the Mishnah continues. If you want to say that the pasuk, the crooked one mentioned in the Mishnah, is a person who stole something, either he did geneva, which means he steals. Stealing means in this context, he basically steals not in the presence of the owner, kind of breaks into your house. He's a thief. Rob means that basically he'll come up to you in front of your face and take what you have. So maybe you'll say that the person referring to in the pasuk of a crooked one is a person who is a ganef or a gazlan. And so to that is can't be. Yachol lachzir Rav Yitaken. He can return it. And then once he returns it, he straightens things out. You know, he stole an object, he can return it, he returned it. The sin is over, the sin's done. There's nothing left of the sin. And even if you'll say, oh, that's good if, let's say, it's still around. But let's say it's not around anymore. Let's say the stolen object isn't around anymore. You stole an apple and you ate the apple. You can't return the apple anymore. But you can pay for it. And paying for it is considered considered a good enough replacement that we say that the sin has no more remembrance, and therefore that could be straightened out. So since anything that basically you can rectify is not going to fall under me'uvis she'eni yachaliskai. The crooked one can't be fixed because he could fix it. But the example given in the Mishnah of the person who reduced the mamzer, that's the example of the crooked one who cannot be straightened out. That's the first opinion of the Mishnah. Shimon ben Yochai said, Ein karin me'uvis, we only will call someone a crooked one if he was straight beforehand and then he got crooked. Something, that's what he's saying. Shimon ben Yochai says, to call something crooked means it started off straight, then it became crooked. And therefore, who, according to him, as we'll explain soon, the example given before of the person who produced the mamzer would not fall under this description. So who falls under this description? The Ezeh. What's the example of that? It's the Talmid Chacham HaPeiresh min HaTorah, a Torah scholar who then abandoned the Torah. The Torah scholar was, as he said, was Mesukin. He was straight because he was studying Torah, he was observing Torah, so he was something straight that went crooked when he abandoned the Torah. Now, the person who produced the mamzer, he is, according to Shimon ben Yochai, he is not called a Mesukin, a person who is straight and then and got crooked. I mean, you could say, what do you mean? Before he did the Avera, wasn't he straight? And the answer is, or meaning in the right place, the answer is, Mesukin, according to the way they bring down in the notes, Mesukin shenas aves, straight that got crooked, means that he was really straight. He was righteous. The person who we're talking about before I produced the mamzer, clearly he didn't do the sin. But we don't know what was he beforehand? Was he a big tzaddik? Was he a Talmid Chacham? He could have been nothing special. But at least he didn't do the sin. Now he did the sin. That is not called Mesukin. That's not called someone that is straight and then became crooked. It's the Torah scholar that was the person who was called Mesukin. He was straight. He was, so to speak, he was really in the right place because he was a Talmid Chacham. He studied Torah. He observed Torah. And then when he go and abandons Torah, that's called Me'uvesh Yachaliskai, the crooked person who can't fix up. Now, why can't he fix? Why doesn't this person's tshuva, why doesn't this Talmid Chacham's tshuva, why doesn't that work? Why can't it work? The answer is because the way they explain it here is that in his case, I mean, you could say if he abandoned Torah, he'll do tshuva, he'll go back to studying Torah, go back to observing Torah. Why not? The answer is it's called lost time. The amount of time that he left Torah and abandoned Torah is lost time that can't be made up. And therefore, he is considered the mu'uves, again, the crooked one. That means he originally was straight, then it became crooked. That cannot be straightened. He'll never be able to do complete tshuva for all the lost time that happened while he abandoned Torah. Okay. Now the Chofetz Chaim. Okay, so we mentioned before that if the person said the lashon in front of three people, and he warned the people not to say it over, then there is no permission for any of them to say it over, even though we are considering the opinion now that says that something that will get spread is not considered lashon hara. So now Klal Beis, we're in chapter 2, Sif Ches, paragraph 8, in Chilip Lashana Azara. When this person warned you not to spread it, there's no difference how he said it. Bein Shatzivam Shal Yidabru Oid Mizayin Klal. Whether he said, do not talk about this at all. It shouldn't be known from you. Under all these cases, you're not allowed to reveal that which was said negatively about that person, even to somebody else. And certainly you don't tell it to the person who was spoken about. Even if you go ahead and tell it to somebody else, eventually it's going to get back to that person. Okay, and therefore, once you have that azhara not to say it over, no matter how the warning was put, you cannot say it over. Oid nira pashut, and another point that he says is elementary. The dafka im hashemim yushloisha. The people who heard it originally have to be three of them. Lafuka im shnayim sipru v'fnei shnayim. If it's two saying to two, you have the same amount of people at the end, 1, 3, 2, and 2, but it wasn't three spreaders. Lo yishayach hay hetera klal. then this permission is not possible. It has to be spread by 3 people. 3 people will make it be considered was enough. That's the amount that you need to consider it. That's going to spread enough to become well known. But if it's only 2, then it's not going to help. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Rabbi.